Okay, with Izō, it is the third skill. With him, it's the second. Okay, let's talk buffs, chat. I keep getting distracted. So, we're actually going to start with Izō. I think this is probably the better one to start with. So, Izō, I'm going to be honest with you. Izō did not need a buff. At least not in the, like, general purpose, grand scheme of 3 stars type thing. Where you can make an argument of where Izō needed a buff is in the fact of, yes, 3 stars and lower in the even grander scheme are just getting kind of left behind. So I don't think it's insane to see buffs to just about every single 3-star, with a couple of glaring exceptions like Cough Cough Caster Coup and stuff like that. But yeah, there's definitely a scenario in which, like, Izō didn't really need it because he was already very well taken care of as a 3-star unit. Izō is also one of the most popular 3-star units, especially on the JP side of things, with a lot of female fans. And if you want to know why, you need look no further than some of his costumes and basically why women will bark at him like a dog. So essentially, the idea here is that he didn't necessarily need it, but he's always been a popular character, so it's fine for them to buff this. And you guys can see what they actually took is they took easily his weakest skill. So the one that increased his own critical star absorption for 1 turn up to 500%. This skill, it's not like terrible, this will help him soak stars, but compared to his hard survivability and crit damage, and his power mod against humanoid, which is definitely his claim to fame, yeah, I'm gonna say this skill just actually was the odd man out. And the interesting part about it is, again, it has a 3-turn cooldown, so they actually come back in and they buff this, and they give it a 1-turn arts up. So this does increase his one-shot damage capability, and again, maybe a little bit of refund there. Izō is an arts assassin, whoops. And as you guys can see, he does have the 2 arts cards. So getting this on a turn where maybe he gets his 2 arts cards, he's got his NP, he does a full arts chain, boom, there you go. Yeah, that 20% is going to make quite a sizable difference. But if we're just looking at it in terms of like, hey, how much does this improve his damage output? Really not that much. Again, they didn't touch the critical star absorption side of this. They really just ended up going, hey, you know what? You are an assassin. You kind of need to operate with stars just like all the other assassins do. So here's a star bomb, even though you're an arts one. So that also works really well to his benefit. He basically has synergy here, where now he has star absorption and stars on the same skill. And then he's also got crit damage in the other skill. So again, at the end of the day, I think this just helps his synergy overall. It helps his usability. And as a unit, I'm not going to say this makes him insanely stronger or anything like that, but it does just make him a little bit more of a quality option as a single target assassin. So on screen now, you guys can see this is basically the damage number changes for him. Again, old Izō, this is just self buffs only. We didn't bother going through an actual composition for him because we just wanted to kind of display the actual like difference in terms of output. But so what this means is no supports being included in these numbers. These are still neutral numbers, so no damage effectiveness. So pretty much just as is in a vacuum by himself with his own skills. Here's kind of the amount of damage he's going to be able to do. Now remember, a lot of the scenarios where you're going to use him are going to be against humanoid and man targets, so having the capacity to kind of deal with that, you're probably going to be looking a lot more over here in terms of what his damage capability could be. And frankly, 88k raw damage is really strong. He's not likely to get that too often. You're probably only going to have one of the 2 power mods, but even still, for a single target being able to hit these numbers, really just not bad. But now with the new buff, as you guys can see, these numbers are just going to get even better. So it's not a like huge jump in damage, but it is a jump and it does help him out. It is going to give him some staying power. This is going to at least allow him to kind of compete with maybe some of the higher rarities somewhat. The issue at play, as always with Izō, is going to be that he just does not have charge anywhere in his kit. So being able to withstand and stand up to maybe some of the damage output and capacity that a lot of the higher ranked assassins and frankly like alter egos like Melt and stuff are going to have, he's still not really going to be it. But he is a 3-star. He does have a very effective niche with both humanoid and man. So I do think he's always going to be a quality option for you, especially if you're on a budget or you just like using him. I do think he's very serviceable, and I think this buff definitely helps that capability. So let me know what you guys think on Izō. Now next up here, we also have Hōzōin. Now Hōzōin, as you guys know, is not a offensive unit in the terms of having an offensive NP. How Hōzōin likes to get things done is way more carding and critting. And as you guys can see, he's always had the triple quick deck. This has pretty much been his claim to fame, just being able to crit people really hard, even though he is a 3-star. And that's always been the thing that he's kind of been lauded for, even though we have other kind of, I guess you could argue, stronger options with units like Qinliang Yu that are kind of meant to be his analog at a higher rarity. The issue in that regard, though, is that Qinliang Yu often has conditional effects. It doesn't really have as much kind of synergy as he does in that regard. So she ends up, even though I guess she kind of has a higher ceiling than him, it being way more sort of RNG and not consistent. Personally, I feel like Qinliang Yu really needs some attention, even still, even after all of her buffs, but I think they just kind of need to address the overall consistency issues that she has. But for Hōzōin, Hōzōin's never really had those problems. Still, they come in and they actually buff his second skill here. As you guys can see, this was originally his quick up of 50% for 1 turn. This is where you would always kind of come in, you'd use this, and you would be able to be, at least for 1 turn, a little bit of a crit god. Because if you had all of those quick cards align, and you had the stars already there, you were going to pop off with him. Again, this also increased his mental debuff resistance by 100%. So it was one of the good parts about him, is he didn't really have the ability to be kind of incapacitated to some degree. And so I did like that aspect of this skill. But now they buffed it, and frankly, the buff is kind of insane. So still got the 100% mental debuff resistance here, but they made the quick 3 turns up now. So now you don't necessarily have to wait to get the right cards. You can kind of just pop this and go. And then on top of that, they also increased his arts performance for 3 turns by also 50%, which kind of seems insane at first. The deal is, he's somewhat going to be tempered by the fact that he only has the singular arts card. So unless you've got him in a solo environment or something like that, he is still going to be just sort of balanced by the virtue of being able to even get this card that much. But if you do have him in a solo environment, good lord, this is just going to pop off even more. So again, this is really going to help him get back to, say, another NP, which is where, again, a lot of his kind of capability and survivability comes from. That's the big thing with Inshun, is that he needs that NP to stay alive a lot. So this is going to help him get to it a lot more consistently, and doubly so because it also adds charge on this skill of 30%. So not only does he have the enhancement to the arts card, he also has charge baked in. And so with those two things, especially in a solo environment, he's going to get that constantly. In a more structured group, he won't get it constantly, but when he does, again, the 3-turn durations are really going to just help bail him out of that now. So he will at least have 1 decently good arts card to kind of help get him back to that next NP. So again, I think this is a absolutely outstanding buff for Inshun. It just helps his overall usability in the same way that the Izō buff helped him. But I think for Inshun and for what he is supposed to do, this is right in his wheelhouse, and this just is going to make him be even better at what he already was good at. So I really like this buff for him. I'm not going to say this is going to allow you to just like roll into 90++ nodes and take him in there, but I do think that this is going to allow him to be very good as, again, that sort of low-star budget carding option for you, especially if you surround him with a good party as well. He can definitely pop off. Let me know what you guys think about the Inshun buff, and I will see you guys for the next one. Ugh.